Gary, we're 5 days now to look back on what happened at Harrogate. You said afterwards that you thought your team was second best. Have you been able to put your finger on why that was the case?
Like I've said, you know, we've been in this week, and we've got over that now, because you have to get over that. So, you know, it's not something I really want to go back on. It happened on the day we were second best, but like I said before, having said that, it was definitely a foul on Theo before the penalty. Theo hasn't tracked his man for the second goal, and we've conceded two sloppy goals for me. Obviously one being a penalty. Other than that, they never really tested my keeper. We had a few chances, again, like I said, but we didn't really deserve maybe anything out of the game, because we didn't really play to what we're capable of. Can I put my finger on it? No, it's something that happens, and as always, you have to move on, and we move on.
So let's look forward to the game with South Shields in this weekend, because you know they are going to be right up for it, so your team will have to match, first of all, their endeavour.
Yeah, people have said numerous things to me since last Saturday. You know, they look like they wanted it more. They look like they had more desire. You know, we all might as well pack the game in, players, everybody. If we haven't got that, you know, we're certainly going into a game on Saturday, the FA Cup, where, you know, you just said there, you know, what they're going to be. We're going to be the same, and you know, we're going to go and work as hard as we can, and you always want to try and work harder than the opposition, because if you do, then you know, regardless of ability, you've got a chance of winning the game more. So we've got to make sure we start the game well, and we work harder than South Shields, and then with the quality we've got, then hopefully it's enough to get us through.
Yeah, is it about cutting out the individual mistakes? Is that really what's killing your side at the minute?
Of course, you know, that'll always be the situation, that you know, you've got to cut out mistakes. You know, we've had a season so far where we're talking about different reasons. You know, not taking the chances that we create, cut out silly mistakes. If you don't track people, then you're going to concede goals. You know, that can't happen. So yeah, cut out mistakes. Take your chances when they come along. Make better decisions when we've got the ball. I thought our decision making, you know, wasn't the best last week, but it was one of those games, and you know, we have to take it on the chin, and we have to move on.
When we spoke to Sean Newton afterwards, he looked shell-shocked. Has there been any sort of dip in confidence this week with the rest of the squad?
No, there's no dip in confidence. There's you know, weeks are dictated, or weekends, and then weeks are dictated by results, and obviously it's a different week this week, because we've been on a run of 3 wins and a draw, and you know, we want to continue that. But you know, when you lose again, then you know, of course things are different, because you know, you have to then bounce back, which is an FA Cup game on Saturday. I gave the players a couple of days off. You know, when we haven't got a midweek game, they're long weeks. We have to make sure that we rest up mentally as well as physically to prepare for the game on Saturday, and that's what we're doing.
I appreciate that South Shields have played 2 levels below your team, but they've only lost one of their last 49 games, which is an unbelievable record at any level of football. Yeah,
well, they've got good players, you know, and I know quite a few of the players, and they've got good players, and you know, they're on a roll that, you know, it's a game full of confidence, believe they can beat anybody. You know, and you only have to go back to the last round to go away to Darlington and win 3-0, and you know, by all accounts they could have doubled that and won by a lot more. So we're going up there to play against a side that are absolutely full of confidence. But we, you know, like I've just said there, we've got to make sure they don't have a nice week next week, because it's when you lose a game, your weeks change, and but we're good enough. You know, we've got a squad of players good enough to go and win at South Shields. but it's the FA Cup, and you've got to make sure when you go to somewhere like South Shields that number one, you're up for it. Number two, you work harder than them. And number three, whatever your job is in the side, that you go out and make sure you do your job very, very well.
And how far can confidence actually take a team? I'll say 1 defeat in 49, maybe if you do fall a goal behind, you just automatically think you are going to get back into it, so you keep going forward rather than worrying about what happens behind you?
Yeah, you get a confidence. You know, I've been there. I had that when I was here before. You know, we had it when we won at Wembley to get promoted. You know, we went and goal down in 1 minute. And I think I said at the time that my players had me worried for 1 minute, because I knew we had a team, and we knew at the time we were a team that would bounce back. You know, we had the confidence to do that. So it's a great place to be in mentally. It's an absolutely lovely place to be in mentally, knowing that you can do that. That builds up with, you know, winning games, picking up results. We haven't been on a run this year. We were sort of, until we got beat at Harrogate last week, you know, started to go on a bit of a run, and then we've been knocked back with the result. But that all comes with results, and you know, we've got to start picking up results to get in that mental frame of mind to go and you know, play against anybody. It doesn't matter who you play against. So, you know, like I've said, I've got a squad of players here more than capable of going to win, you know, most games this season, if not every game. But we have to be at our best, and you know, we've had the odd game this year where we haven't been at our best, and we haven't been consistent enough. So we've got to start getting to that consistency and start getting the mentality, you know, possibly like South Shields have got at this moment in time.
Let's talk about that squad of players then. John Parkin, I presume he's available again to you.
Yeah, John's available. He's been training all week, so he, you know, obviously we know why he missed the game last week. So yeah, it'd be nice to have John back.
Michael Rankin?
Michael's still the same. You know, we're still no ranks for Saturday. Still waiting on results of tests that he's now having, and having heart scans and such like. You know, so.
Is that a worry to him and to you?
Yeah, of course. It's a worry. It's a worry to him. It's his life that we're talking about, and you know, we know everything in football now that, you know, we have to be very, very careful, and we have to make sure that Ranks is in a good place, physically, medically, to continue. And we're doing every test we can with him to get the okay from the specialist to say, yeah, you're fine to do that. So of course it's a worry to him. It's not a nice situation to be in. So we're just hoping when we get all the results back and everything's been tested that Ranks is okay to carry on. Any
other injury concerns in the squad?
Obviously Lawsy, you know, he went down with his groin. He's settled down really, really well. So it's going to be touch and go with him for Saturday. So we'll know a little bit more on that tomorrow.
And if he doesn't make it, does that necessitate a change in formation, or do you just, maybe Sam Hessel put him at right back?
Well, it's a good question. You know, it's another decision I have to make, whether we change the system, because you know, we haven't got another natural right back really. So whether we stick with the 4 or whether we go to a 5, you know, there are players there that can step in if we stay with the 4, not natural right backs, but you know, players that have played there. So it's not a major worry, but we're just going to make a decision of which way we go.
And you've had to say goodbye to Matt Fry this week. I don't know if it's part of your long-term plans or not, but it's never nice to see a player having to leave full-time football because of an injury.
Yeah, you know, again, Matthew was one, obviously, that when I come into the football club, and unfortunately, you know, he sort of had injuries and you know, didn't really feature for me, but you know, great lad, and you know, he knows we had a good relationship, me and him. You know, he's got to a situation where the knee problems he's had over his career were getting, you know, quite severe. You know, he's moved back down south now with his wife, and I wish him well. You know, he'd be disappointed that coming up to to York with an opportunity of full-time football again from Braintree to resurrect his career and to get noticed, but it didn't really happen for him. But that's life, that's football. I'm sure he'll pop up part-time somewhere down south and play for a team down there.
Does that now free up some space in your squad for you to bring some more bodies in?
No, not really. You know, we haven't really been down that road, but you know, we've got a squad of players that we're working with. Matty is not really featured in that anyway, so it's not as if we're losing somebody that's featured in the game so far anyway.
Are you happy with the strength of the squad overall after, what are we, 8 weeks into the season, whatever it is? So I think we all know what your first 11 would be, but then seem pretty reluctant to change too many positions all at once when things aren't going your way in the league.
Yeah, I just feel we have got a squad of players that, well, I know we've got a squad of players that are good enough. I'm just waiting for that consistency to start. You know, and look, we're talking thin dividing lines here of taking chances, cutting out, which we talked about a minute ago. You know, taking the chances, cutting out the silly mistakes. There's no doubt, and there's no point in hiding behind it. You know, some players know that they can be playing better than probably what they are at the moment. But that's football. That's a natural thing. We're not a Premiership club where we can have, you know, squads of 30, but I don't want that anyway, because I inherited that when I come. I don't want that anyway. So all I'll say is, you know, I know I've got a squad of players here that are more than good enough to achieve what we set out to achieve this season. I think the frustrating thing at the moment, we haven't really showed that on a consistent basis. But we're 12 league games in, which my maths works out, we've got 30 league games left, and we're in the FA Cup on Saturday. So, you know, football's football, and things can change day to day. But I'm certainly not a manager that I've got a squad of players here thinking we're not good enough to go and achieve what we set out to do this season, because we are.
Great, thank you.
It's fine for me to go.
Yep.
Yeah.